welcome to Autodromo di Franciacorta.
For round 6 of the 2000. Welcome to Circuit Zolder for the final round. The lights go out, the green flag flies. It's all very tight up towards turn 1. Oh, it's close and there's contact. They're side by side. When the checkered flag falls and the race is done, there's always time for celebrations. Welcome along to the Hockenheimring, everybody, for the NASCAR Grand Prix of Germany. Beautiful conditions here in the western part of Germany at this fantastic circuit, which can date back to, well, the 1930s. 1932 was the first time that we saw any motorsport activity in this country. Before, of course, the circuit was significantly redesigned just after the millennium, and it is on the shorter national circuit that we will see the cars for the semi-finals of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series heading out onto circuit very, very shortly. Just to guide you round the circuit in the beautiful sunny conditions that we've got here in the early part of autumn, let's dive on board for an onboard lap with 3 times runner-up in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, Fred Gabillon.
Hello guys, welcome at Hockenheim in my Chevrolet number 3. So we're gonna make 1 lap. This is the first straight line. It's a really fast track, and this morning the track was really cold. So first corner, really fast corner in 3rd gear. It's really important to use the curve inside and outside, but not too much for sure. We stay in 3rd, 4th gear, and this is the first strong corner with really hard brake, trying to brake after 150. Stay in 2nd gear and try to stay inside the more possible. Flat left corner, 3rd gear, and 4th gear. Now we're gonna cut a little bit the F1 track, so we're gonna brake hard here for a double right. So don't try to go too much outside, and really slow with the throttle because the traction is really hard. This is a really technical corner in 2nd gear, and after a fast right corner, and it's your choice. You can stay in 2nd or in 3rd. Stay flat, and we're gonna touch a little bit the limiter here. And this is the first corner of the stadium. Really use the curve inside and outside. Really fast corner. Strong left corner, and you have to use the curve of this corner because you can stay inside. 3rd gear, flat, and we're gonna brake for the double right in 2nd gear. Really hard this corner because lots of understeer and oversteer at the same time. Stay in 2nd gear and 3rd just before. And okay, we're gonna make 1 lap, 1 fast lap.
Circuit that certainly the drivers enjoy, the wide expanses of it and the ability to build the speeds in these V8 NASCARs. You can see just how beautiful the conditions are here as we head towards what will be a qualifying session, and of course those all-important Super Pole sessions that will be coming up very, very shortly. Remember, because it's semi-finals, come the racing that will take place over the course of later on this afternoon and tomorrow as well. It's double points as well, so it's not the regular 40 points for a race win, it's 80 points for the race win. And as all the drivers know, it's the semi-finals here in Germany and the finals, which will take place at Zolder in Belgium, really where the championship is won or is lost. Let's have a quick look at the circuit itself. We've been on the onboard lap with Fred Gabillon, but let's have a quick look at how the circuit is formed in terms of its twists and turns and its length as well. So we should in a few moments have a quick little graphic. There we go. Look, 16 corners. It is a 3.63 kilometre circuit, or thereabouts, 2.25 miles. The winners last year, watch out for them come qualifying and the racing, of course, later on. Loris Hazemans, who grabbed his first race win here in 2018, and the back-to-back, the reigning champion, the double champion, Alan Day, claimed a win in one of the races. And what is only the third ever visit here for the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. The first visit was in 2017. We came back to Germany and the Hockenheimring in 2018, and well, we remain here in 2019. You can already see now the cars for what is a very strong Elite One division entry are just poking their noses out of the garage now, and they will make their way down towards pit lane exit very, very shortly. The order that they will leave pit lane for this qualifying session, if you're not familiar with it, is based on the fastest times for the combined 2 free practice sessions that took place yesterday. It was largely the second free practice session a little later on in the afternoon that provided the quicker times for most of the people, and Loris Hazeman's was ultimately the quickest. Last year's race winner was the quickest in the combined free practice sessions, but it was all rather close. The time that he posted, which will see him head out of pit lane first for this 10-minute qualifying session, was a 1 minute 32.527, but that was just 57 thousandths of a second quicker than Nikola Rocco, the young Italian, who lies third in the championship standings, only 8 points off the leader, Stinis Longin. And Stinis Longin was third quickest on combined times yesterday, just, 2/10 off Loris Hazeman. So it couldn't have been any closer. A colossal entry list of 29 cars in Elite One over the course of this weekend, including some new drivers that are joining the series as well. So the likes of the number 1 car from Alex Caffey Racing, that is in the hands of the Slovak driver, which is Mikhaila Dorchikova. So she is a debutant in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Also the second Greek driver we've ever had in the championship, racing the number 22 car for Marco Steep. That is Ioannis Sambrilis, who joins the championship. Also the number 41, the Club Motorsports car, is back out, and that's another debutant that's on board for this one, which is Lorenzo Marcucci, the young Italian. Cal Racing have 4 cars out this weekend, the first time that they have ever had 4 cars in the entry list, and it's another debutant that we'll see out in this qualifying session, driving the number 56 Cal Racing car, and that is Marco Santamaria. Joining Mishu Motors and the number 70 car for this weekend, certainly a driver, if you watch sports car racing, you'll be more than familiar with, Daniel Kajewicz, who is a former FIA GT3 champion. He was also ADAC champion in the GT category there back in 2013. He is certainly going to be, of all of the debutants, a driver to watch out for. And also another debutant, at least in Elite One this weekend here at the Hockenheimring, is driving the number 99 Deck Sweat DF Racing machine. You'll be familiar with him if you were watching the Elite 2 division last year and the year before, because he's a 3 times race winner, but it's the first weekend he's competed in Elite 1. That is Guillaume de Flandre, rejoining the series. But you say he's a debutant in Elite 1, and another debutant in Elite 1 is also number 90 Scott Jeffs, the British driver who we've seen a chunk of in Elite 2 this year, but he stepped up with Brax Racing in the number 90 car to Elite 1 for this weekend. So there's been a few changes amongst the entries, lots of additions, and as we say, the important part of qualifying in this double points semi-final weekend coming up. No points available for qualifying or for Superpole. All of those points come via the racing, but it is going to be hugely, hugely important to start the weekend on the front foot in what are, I would imagine, ideal conditions as far as the drivers are concerned. It's a nice warm morning. It's not too warm because of the time of year that we are at, it now being mid-September. There is a light breeze, and as you can see, beautiful clear skies here in Germany, as the cars are now starting to head in the free practice order down towards pit lane entry. In terms of the championship, as the crowd are getting ready for this qualifying session, Stinis Longin leads the championship for PK Car Sport, the number 11 car that's in the hands of the 2016 Elite 2 champion. As he leads the championship, he's on 272 points coming into this weekend, just 7 points ahead of Loris Hazemans, who was quickest on combined times yesterday. And third in the championship is Nikola Rocco, who is just another point off that, with Alan Day, the reigning champion. Well, he's just a further 7 points off that. So 4 drivers separated by 15 points coming into this weekend. And the man who leads the championship, Stinis Longin, unbelievably, still is yet to claim a win. so far this season. At the wheel of that number 11 car that was just heading out of pit road there. Stinas has finished second on some 6 occasions so far this year. He finished in second place in both of the races at Valencia in Spain, which opened up the 2019 championship season. He finished second in both of the races for the NASCAR Grand Prix of Great Britain at Brands Hatch. He also finished second in both of the races at Most on our first ever visit to the Czech Republic. He finished on the podium, but third at Franciacorta. He's also had a further top 10 finish in the first of the 2 races at Franciacorta, where he finished, just inside the top 10, but off the podium places. And at Venray, last time out, the only oval circuits that we have on the calendar, he finished in something like 24 points, would have been 13th position. So the cars now starting to head down towards pit lane exit, say in the order in which they are on combined times from yesterday. So there's the number 7 car of Martin Dubek, the Czech driver for Hendricks Motorsport, heading down pit road. Following him is Daniel Kajevich, the number 70 car. The next up will be ex-Formula 1 world champion Jacques Villeneuve, driving the number 32 for Go Fast Racing once more. Then it'll be the Finnish driver Henry Tumala for Memphis Racing, the number 23, that should be next down pit road. After that, it will be Fred Gabion, who did our onboard lap, the number 3 car, which will be down towards pit lane exit end. There goes the RDV competition car. And after Fred Gabion, then it should be Lorenzo Marcucci making his debut in the championship, who went well yesterday, 17th quickest in the combined free practice times. I would imagine he'd be rather pleased with that, making his debut in this championship. A driver that we've seen a chunk of racing in European GT4. He has actually raced with us before in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, but that was way back, and in Elite 2 as well. That was at Tours on the Oval Speedway in France back in 2014. So I'd imagine Lorenzo Marcucci will be hugely pleased with his efforts yesterday and look to try and build on that in today's qualifying session and the racing as well. There goes Francisco Cini, recently returned from honeymoon. Congratulations, Francisco, at the wheel of the number 12 Solaris Motorsport car. And after him, then the next of the cars is worth mentioning as well, which is Dylan Dierdala, who is racing one of 3 cars for PK Carsport. Brand new car, that number 98 car that's just joined him. There's another one of our rookies for this weekend, Ionis Simrilis, racing the number 22 for what is Marco's DF1 Racing this weekend, the Greek driver. Again, a chunk of experience has Ionis, largely in sports cars though, racing in the likes of the 24-hour series. Had a class win at the Nürburgring 24-hour back in 2018. We've seen him compete in the Dubai 24-hour as well, but certainly NASCAR is something entirely new to the Greek driver. So the car's all ready for lining up. Remember, it's a short and a sharp qualifying session. All of the cars will have 4 brand new General tyres allocated for them for this qualifying session. So they will be able to try and get the best out of those as early on in this qualifying session as they can. They only get 4 new tyres for the whole weekend. Any others sort of have to be carried over in reality. So get the best out of your 4 tyres. Try and get the quick time in nice and early, and then park the car up and save those tyres for the rest of the weekend. However, in a subtle change, as was mentioned in the driver briefing yesterday, usually it's if you set your quick time nice and early in the qualifying session, get down pit road, get to the end of pit lane, and then you're first in the queue to go back out for Super Pole, should you be inside the top 12, because it's just the top 12 that go through. Subtle change that was mentioned in the driver briefing yesterday when we were there is that the order for Super Pole, when the top 12 go out, will be the order of the top 12 in qualifying. So if you're fastest in qualifying, you'll be first on the road for Super Pole. And that was something that, when was mentioned in driver briefing yesterday, we sort of made a quick note of that, because that's a subtle change for this weekend. So the number 50 car of Loris Hasermans, remember, he was quickest yesterday by just 57 thousandths of a second from the number 24 car of Nikola Rocco. So it's Hendricks Motorsport Ford that was quickest, the PK Carsport Chevy that was second quickest. It was another PK Carsport Chevy, but of the championship leader, Stinis Longin, he was third quickest. Stinis recently having become a father as well. In the 10-week gap that we've had between Venray and here, became a father. He's not the only NASCAR Whelen Euro Series driver to become a father as well in that period, because Elite 2 driver Nicholas Ryutaro also has recently become a father. In fact, there is the number 8 car that he will be driving in Elite 2. That's in the hands of Dario Carzo for this session. There's number 69, which is Sebastian Bleakie Mullen. Busy guy this weekend because he's also out racing one of the support races here, as the cars with the green flag having been waved now head out for the start of this 10-minute qualifying session for the Elite 1 division of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Round 10 of the championship is what we are qualifying for. It is the semi-finals, which means we're into the playoffs. It's double points. It's a hugely important weekend, and in the next 10 minutes we will find out who will be going through to Super Pole, who those top 12 will be, and after this 10-minute qualifying session, the top 12 will then fight it out for a further 5 minutes to try and establish who is going to start on pole position. Last year, pole position was claimed by the number 50 Hendricks car of Loris Hazelmans. He was quickest in free practice yesterday, in pole position this time last year. In 2017, our first visit to the Hockenheimring, it was Alan Day for Cal Racing, the reigning champion, at the wheel of the number 54 car that was on the pole position. And are we going to have a new pole sitter so far this year? Unbelievably, in Elite 1 so far this year, of the 5 qualifying sessions we have had 5 different pole-sitting drivers. And the Villarino, the most successful driver in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, claimed pole position at Valencia for his home NASCAR Grand Prix. Alan Day grabbed pole position at Franciacorta. It was Stinis Longines at Brands Hatch, Nikola Rocco at Most in the Czech Republic, and on the oval at Venray last time out, it was Jacques Villeneuve that qualified on pole position. Might we make it 6 different pole sitters out of 6 different qualifying sessions? We'll find out once we've got this first 10 minutes out of the way, and then we head towards the Super Pole session. The cars now completing their out lap, heading on to their first flying lap. Number 9, Gianmarco Ercoli, not really finding a great deal of space in the early part of this qualifying session, and that, I suspect, is going to be the key. He's sort of bottled up behind the number 88 race engineering car of the Frenchman Romain Iniesta at this stage. Those two just working their way through turn 5, the long sweeping left-hander at the Parabolica, before they're onto the heavy braking area for the double right-hand hairpin at turn 6 and turn 7. This is where they turn off the full Grand Prix circuit, do a hairpin there, and then head up towards the braking area for the left-hander and the turn number 8. From there it's the sweeps of turn 9, turn 10 and turn 11, and down the drag strip as they head up towards the very fast turn number 12 and in towards the Motordrome section, the stadium section here, before they then up towards turn number 13, which is Salzkurve, where the speeds continually begin to build into the technical section. Goes Romain Iniesta, being followed around by Gianmarco Ercoli. Pump in a quick lap. Loris Hazelmans will be the first over the start-finish line, having been the first out of the pit lane. Provisionally heads on to pole position. Romain Iniesta still sort of with Gianmarco Ercoli behind him. You would have thought, to be honest, common sense would tell me let's get a bit more space out on circuit. You might get the advantage of a bit of a toe down the straight, but surely you'll be compromised through the twiddly bits. And for Gianmarco Ercoli, I don't think the first lap is really going to work for him. There is number 54, Alan Day, who has gone to the top of the times after the first flying lap with a 1 minute 34.121 for Alan Day. Loris Hazelmans, who was quickest in free practice, was second quickest on his first flying lap. Remember, they've all got those 4 brand new tyres that have been bolted on for this qualifying session. It's another 4 brand new tyres for the Elite 2 drivers later on, but they've got to manage all of those tyre allocations over the course of the weekend. Watch out for championship leader Stinis Longines, the number 11 PK Carsport car on this lap. He has had a very good first sector. Alan Day's not slow either by the look of things. There is Stinis Longines up towards turn number 12. He will be working his way. His teammate PK Carsport Nikola Rocco not far away. But Alan Day, number 54 for Cal Racing, the champion, still topping the times. Having qualified on pole position here in 2017, makes a big mistake. Heading up towards Salzkurve, turn number 13. The car really didn't want to go in towards the corner. He had to apply a little bit of opposite lock, and as a result of that, ran very wide at the apex. It was not a bad second sector from him. You could tell he was pushing, but the third sector is not going to do it, and now he has lost pole position because number 11, Stinis Longines, heads on towards pole position. Alan Day is now second quickest as a result of having improved his time that time through, but really it's the third sector that sort of hampered his progress. There goes number 27, which is another former Elite 2 champion, Tomo Ferrando, looking to see what he might be able to do at the wheel of what is one of the 4 Cal Racing cars that are out this weekend. Busy weekend for Cal Racing. Double champion number 33, Luca Lasser, just heading through shot, as Romain Iniesta and Gianmarco Ercoli are still together. Here is our pole sitter, here is our championship leader, number 11, for PK Car Sport, the Belgian driver Stinis Longines, onto the brakes, up towards turn number 8, then the flicks at turn number 9, and the 2 right-handers at 10 and 11 that sort of blend into each other, really. And then from there, they're down the straight. There is Loris Hexmans, there is Stinis Longines. It looks as though this time through, Stinis Longines quicker than anybody has been through the first third of the lap, quicker than he has previously been through the second third of the lap. Far ahead of him, Loris Hexmans has just gone third in sector 2, so quickest first sector of anybody in sector 1 for that car, but the car ahead of him, Loris Hexmans, is quicker than anybody in the middle part of the lap. So this is surely going to be improved times for both Loris Hexmans and the number 11 car of the championship leader Stinis Longines as he works his way out of the final corner over the start finish line. Is it good enough to put him to the top of the times? No, Stinis Longines improves his time, but the number 50 car that's ahead of him on the road of Loris Hexmans goes even quicker. So Loris Hexmans 1 minute 31.968 for that number 50 Hendricks Motorsport Ford. He is now onto provisional pole position by just under 0.2 of a second, 0.174 of a second. He is fastest in this session. Remember, it's the top 12 that go through into Super Pole. So as long as you're in the top 12, you know where you need to be. Who is outside of the top 12 that's a bit of a surprise at the moment? Well, Daniel Kajevitz, who went really well yesterday in free practice, is only 17th at the minute. Jack Villeneuve is only 18th currently. Those are 2 that sort of stand out a little bit. And Ander Villarino, already twice a race winner so far this year, the most successful driver in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, is on the bubble because the number 48 Ford is only down in 12th position. So he's the last of the cars potentially to make it through into Super Bowl. Long shot of the cars heading down the drag strip. Alan Davies, ready driver. His first and second sectors not suggesting there's going to be an improved time this time through, so maybe Alan Day has decided that he's done enough to get towards Super Pole. Yeah, and indeed comes into pit road as I thought he would do. Decided he has done enough at this stage, doesn't need to take any more life out of those Control General tyres in this qualifying session. Other cars though still looking to try and press on. You can see them running as wide as they dare. They're all forward with regards to circuit limits. As long as at least wheels are on the curb, they can run beyond the curb line. Here is Ander Villarino. Now he is at the moment on the bubble. There's the number 77 Memphis racing car of Alexander Graff, the Swedish driver, who is now up to 3rd quickest in this session, Alexander Graff. So going beautifully well, the Swede. We've seen so many Scandinavians and quick ones at that in the 2019 NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. Alexander Graff having a fantastic qualifying session so far. I think he's eased his pace a little bit on this lap, now confident that he's done enough to see him through into the Super Pole session. May well head towards pit road at the end of this one. He's just turning his way through turn number 10 and turn number 11 currently. This is the point of the circuit that come the racing later on. They'll all be getting themselves into 2x2 order and have to be in that order by the time they get down towards turn number 12 at the end of the drag strip. But most of the cars now, I think, have decided, those that are certainly inside the top 8, decided they have done enough. Number 9, Gianmarco Ercoli, at the moment is in 9th position, conveniently enough, the Italian. The only driver still so far to have graduated out of the Elite 2 Championship and won a race in Elite 1. He's still the only one to have done that. Number 8, Dario Carzo, busy squabbling away with Michaela Dojčíková. Remember, the Slovakian lady making her debut in the championship this weekend at the wheel of that number 1 Alex Caffi racing car. She's got the hugely experienced Italian Dario Carzo just ahead of her. for Racers Motorsport. And the checkered flag will be heading out any second now, so anybody heading over the start-finish line can squeeze out one more lap. I think it's probably going to be Daniel Kajevits that was the first to have taken the checkered flag. Or did he squeeze another lap out? No, he might just have squeezed another lap out, Daniel Kajevits, at the wheel of number 70. Wishu Motors car. So the checkered flag is now out. Is anybody looking as though they are outside of Superpole and on a quick lap? Well, Daniel Kajevits did not get the checkered flag, according to the timing screen. He is in 13th position, so if he can press on, the hugely experienced and very successful German, he might be able to squeeze his way through into Superpole. Now that would be at the expense of the Spanish driver, Salvador Tinio Arroyo, the number 64 car, currently the last of those that will make it through to Superpole. So here's number 33, that is double former champion Luca Lasser, who is chasing around the number 48 of Ander Villarino, who at the moment is not going to make it through to Superpole. He's down in 17th position. The sister car, number 88 of Romain Iniesta, is in 6th position. So it's been a good qualifying session for Romain Iniesta, who is going to go through to the Superpole session, but the sister car to it, you can see just taking the checkered flag now, Ander Villarino, who was leading the championship after Valencia, is not going to make it through. So Martin Dubeck takes the checkered flag. Can Daniel Kajevits improve? No, he can't, and that sees all of the cars through to grab the checkered flag, and that means that that is the end of the first 10 minutes of qualifying for the Elite 1 division. Loris Hazemans, fastest of all. He will go through to Superpole, 1 minute 31.96. Second quickest is the championship leader, Stinis Longin, 1 minute 32.14. And third quickest, probably his best qualifying session of the season. He'll be hugely pleased with that. Number 77, Alexander Graff. Also through to Superpole 54, the reigning champion, Alan Day, with the number 24 PK Car Sport car of Nikola Rocco, who lies third in the championship, safely through as well. The man who did our onboard lap, 3 times a runner-up in the series, number 3, Fred Gabion for RDV competition, also through to Superpole, and also through, it was the final qualifying lap that proved to be vitally important there. It is Jacques Villeneuve who also makes it through into the Superpole session with a 1 minute 32.7. Luca Lasser, number 33, also through. Number 9, Gianmarco Ercoli, is also through to the qualifying session. Salvador Tinio Arroyo is safely through, and Tomo Ferrando squeezes his way through as well. And also, I think the final car that made it through, showing on the screen as Sebastian Bleakie Mullen, but on the live timing screen, because we sort of capture the timing, it hasn't quite updated on the graphic that you see on screen. It doesn't look as though Sebastian Bleakie Mullen did quite make it through. He just got pipped as a result of Romain Iniesta improving towards the end, so the number 69 car won't quite make it through to Superpole, unfortunately. Other big drivers to miss out on Superpole. Well, Daniel Kajevits making his debut in the championship, but hugely impressive yesterday in free practice. Didn't quite get the ideal lap that he wanted in this one, so he's 13th and just misses out on Superpole. Reigning Elite 2 champion, number 36, Ulysse Stelso, also misses out on Superpole, but the big one to miss out on the Superpole session is the 3 times champion and the 22 times race winner. That is the Spanish driver, Ander Villarino, who is not going to make it through to Superpole with that number 48 car. So I would imagine he will be very disappointed with that, Ander Villarino, because he lies 5th in the championship standings. 2 wins so far this year, but unbelievably, only 3 podiums. The 2 wins coming in the first 2 races, and the other podium, which was a 3rd place, came last time out at Venray. So all of the cars now nosing their way back in towards the garage. The top 12 will be pushed back out to head back down pit road. That is the number 50 car of Loris Hazemans, who was on pole position 12 months ago here at Hockenheimring. He was quickest yesterday in the free practice sessions. He has just posted the fastest time in the first part of qualifying. Could he make it the ideal start to the weekend by now in the next 5 minutes that we'll see, grabbing pole position? We can see the German stormtroopers there. As ever, as we travel our way around Europe, there's a real American theme to the whole weekend, and unbelievably open access for all of the fans to get up close to the drivers over the course of the weekend, with lots of other off-circuit activity. You could just see some of the Star Wars characters that are joining us here this year. So green flag flies. 5 minutes of Super Pole about to get underway. All of the control general tyres up to temperature. The cars heading out onto the circuit in the order, the top 12, that they have just completed the first part of qualifying. There is the beautifully liveried, the sun glinting off it, RDV competition number 3 of Fred Gabillon. Looks absolutely fantastic, does the livery on the 2 RDV competition cars this year. The number 36 of Ulysse Delceau is sort of similar livery, but the gold is replaced by a really deep metallic burgundy. But on a day like this, beautiful clear skies and the sun glinting off the liveries of those cars, they really do look superb. So cars just being held at pit lane exit for race control to give the thumbs up, just for confirmation. The cars going through to this Super Pole. Number 50, Loris Hasemans. Number 11, Stinis Longy. Number 77, Alexander Graff. 54 is Alan Day. 24 is Nikola Rocco. The number 88 car is that of Romain Iniesta. Number 3 is Fred Gabillon. The 64 car is the Spanish driver Salvador Tinio Arroyo. He was at the tail end of that little train of cars that you can see there in pit lane, and as the green flag flies, the 12 cars make their way out onto circuit for what is now hugely important laps. A bit more space on track because there's not quite as many out there circulating, and the 12 cars that will fight it out for Super Pole head around the circuit. There is that beautiful livery. You could see the sun glint off it there, couldn't you, as he came through turn number 3 and turn number 4. Gianmarco Ercoli also, we ought to say, having made it through into the Super Pole session at the wheel of the number 9 car, so he's keeping up the good work that he's done all season. The former FIA CIK kart racer, who, as we say, is also a former Elite 2 champion. He won the Elite 2 championship back in 2015 and stepped up to Elite 1 in 2016, where over the course of the last 3 years he's finished in 8th, 7th or 8th place. Where is he this weekend? Coming into this championship weekend, 13th in the championship standings. It's been a difficult year with no podiums so far. He's had 4 top 10 finishes. He's not had a podium so far this year. Number 9, Gianmarco Ercoli. So Loris Hasemans looking to try and make it a clean sweep if he can so far this weekend. So fastest in combined free practice, fastest in qualifying. Can he make it fastest in Super Pole to grab what for him would be his 2nd career pole position here at Hockenheim? Romain Iniesta through to Super Pole. He'll be pleased with that. Teammate Ander Villarino, though, will be hugely disappointed. And Romain Iniesta comes into this weekend lying 6th in the championship standings, having had 3rd place in Most, his best of the season so far. He was 6th last time out at Venray, so he's had his 2 best results of the season in the last 2 championship rounds as number 88, Romain Iniesta. So coming into this weekend with a bit of momentum as far as he's concerned. There goes the number 88 race engineering machine in the hands of the former Formula Ford runner-up champion of France. He has finished 3rd in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series in the past. 2015, his best championship finish of the season. Day 2017, consider here the first ever visit to the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series to the Hockenheimring. What might he be able to do in this qualifying session? He set the fastest lap in the first of the races last year to give him pole position for the 2nd of the 2 races, but it's not classified as a pole in reality because the poles only count if you do it in the qualifying session rather than set fastest lap in race 1 to give you pole for race 2. There goes number 24, Nikola Rocco. What might he be able to do? He's lying 3rd in the championship standings. He's had just 1 win so far this year. That came at Most in the Czech Republic. He's actually only had 3 podium finishes so far this year, Nikola Rocco. Consistency has been the key for him, a 1st, a 2nd and a 3rd throughout the course of the championship season with that number 24 car. His best result of the season, best championship finish has been a 4th in 2016 championship season. 64 Salvatore Arroyo almost throwing the Speedhouse Mitsubishi Motors car in towards turn number 1 there. As we look towards number 11, Stinis Longines, who is following Loris Hasemans around the circuit in terms of sector times. Loris Hasemans that little bit quicker through the first part of the lap than Stinis Longines. Alan Day's first flying lap was a good one, but he made a bit of a hash of the third sector by the look of things. He was quick through sector 1, quicker than anybody through sector 2, but really slow through sector 3, which suggests he's had a bit of an issue somewhere, and he's now going to have to forget about that and keep pushing as hard as he possibly can. There is Stinis Longines now, purple through sector 2, the middle part of the lap. He's just gone quicker than anybody has managed so far in this Super Pole session. Could he be heading towards pole position? The clock is ticking down. There's only a minute and 20 seconds remaining, so he's got this lap and one more thereafter. It looks neat and tidy. Lost a little bit of time through sector 1, but was quicker than anybody through sector 2. Neat and tidy through sector 3. And heads over the start-finish line. What's the time going to look like? It's a 1 minute 32.256 from him, but Loris Hasemans actually goes a shade quicker. 1 minute 32.160 for Loris Hasemans. So Hasemans potentially at the wheel of the number 50 Ford, heading towards pole position. Graphics showing him in third, but that was where he was before he'd completed the lap that he's just completed. So number 50, Loris Hasemans, topping the times at the moment. Second to him is the car that's chasing him around the circuit, number 11, Stinis Longines. Third currently is 24, Nikola Rocco. And stopping out on circuit on the start-finish line, that is Alan Day. So he stopped out on circuit and actually hasn't popped in a particularly competitive time in this Super Pole session. So he's only 12th reigning champion, the double champion. That is going to be a bit of a dip for him in his championship aspirations, lying 4th in the standings coming into this weekend. So look at yellow flags, localised yellows over the start-finish line. The clock is already showing 0, so Loris Hasemans will look to try and push on. But the sector time suggesting that both himself and Stinis Longines and Nikola Rocco are all a shade slower than they've previously been. Alexander Graff, who's lying 6th, has actually gone, or 5th, has gone through the second sector quicker than he's previously gone, so the Swede might be able to maybe climb a place or two here. Out of the final corner, up towards a checkered flag in this Super Pole session comes Loris Hasemans, takes the checkered flag, goes over the start-finish line and cannot improve his time, but the time he's posted so far is good enough for pole position. And it certainly looks as though he is heading towards back-to-back pole positions here at the Hockenheimring, as all the rest of the cars competing in this Super Pole session now head over the start-finish line. There's just a couple more to come through. Gianmarco Ercoli and Jacques Villeneuve to come through, but it looks as though one of them has headed for pit lane. There goes Jacques Villeneuve. He comes over the start-finish line. Can he improve? Sector time suggests not. No, he doesn't. So it is back-to-back pole positions here at the Hockenheimring for number 50, Loris Hasemans, and that is the best possible start to the weekend for him. So he was quickest in Super Pole, he was quickest in qualifying, he was quickest on combined times in free practice. Goes to show that at a circuit that he absolutely thoroughly enjoys. Himself, the car and the team, Hendricks Motorsport, are all clicking again this weekend. The number 50 car will start from pole position for the first of our Elite 1 races that takes place a little later on this afternoon. Alongside him on the grid will be the car that's following him round on this slowing down lap. The championship leader, number 11, Stinis Longines, is going to line up alongside him on the front row of the grid. And it will be number 24, Nikola Rocco and Thomas Ferrando, that will line up on the second row of the grid. Number 33, that's Luca Lasserre, the double former champion from 2009-2010. His Mitsubishi Motors number 33 car will start 6th on the grid for the race later on today. But the man that we're going to have to watch out for come that race is going to be starting 12th on the grid. Whatever the problem was for the number 54 Cal Racing machine of Alan Day, it stopped out on circuit after he'd only done one flying lap, really. And that means that he is going to start in 12th position on the grid, subject to official confirmation. There is number 32, Jacques Villeneuve. Great to see Jack out, the 1997 Formula 1 World Champion. Remember, he's a former kart champion as well, Indy 500 winner. It's great to see him here for the full season in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and of course for him, next round after this will probably be a rather difficult round in reality, as we go to Zolder Circuit, which of course was very tragically where his father was killed in the past. So that's going to be an emotional and I'm sure a difficult weekend after Hockenheim as we head towards our championship finals at Zolder. So the cars heading down pit lane. Just to confirm then, the order for the Super Pole session is going to see Loris Hazeman's start from pole position. I'm just having a quick look through. Yeah, the information I see has now shuffled the order in front of me, so yeah, Loris Hazeman's will start from pole position. There's the spotters. They get the most superb view from their elevated position here on top of one of the fantastic buildings that we have at the Hockenheimring. They can't quite see all of the circuit from that position, but in a day like this with ideal skies and great visibility, they get a very good view around the circuit, as they really act as the eyes and the ears of the drivers, continually letting them know about track space and who's coming up behind them and where there are any incidents or localised yellows out on circuit. Cars being pushed back into their garages in the pit lane here, because having done it all for Elite 1, we are now about to do the same for Elite 2. It's exactly the same process. The cars will head towards the pit lane area, and then we will have a 10-minute qualifying session for the Elite 2 division, and as with Elite 1 that we have just seen, the top 12 will once more make it through towards the Super Pole session. You can see the beautiful clear skies we've got. You can see the flags, just a light breeze. There's nothing at all to complain about for the weather here. The drivers, I'm sure, will be saying it is pretty much ideal conditions, as the Elite 1 drivers at least are out of their cars now. We can see with the shades on and the black overalls there, Dario Carzo, who has just completed his qualifying session here at the Hockenheimring. Didn't make it through to Super Pole, Dario Carzo, a driver who has been with us for a good number of years there. Now you can see some of the characters as well. We're talking about the fact that we've got many Star Wars characters and all dressed in costume. That's just a handful of them throughout the course of the 2018 visit here to the Hockenheimring. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing lots of stormtroopers and lots of Star Wars characters, including the likes of Chewbacca and Darth Vader, and they make a fantastic sight. And even in these warm weather, how they keep those on all day, I really don't know, because it's certainly, get into the sunshine, it is beautifully warm, and with the full costumes on that so many of them have, keeping them on all day, it must be hugely uncomfortable, I've got to say. So there is Alan Day's car. There is a very handy gap in the barriers that the car is just about to be pushed through. Now that failure of that car does have a significant effect for, unfortunately, the Elite 2 driver that's scheduled to take over, and that is Ariana Casoli, the Lady Cup champion from 2016, who was runner-up in the Lady Cup in Elite 2 in 2017-2018, because if the Cal Racing team can't get to work on that quickly, it may well mean that she doesn't get the opportunity to even get behind the wheel of it. So that car, understandably, being pushed straight into the garage. Just to sort of, I mentioned Lady Trophy there. If you're not familiar with it, then what we have the overall championships, but there's also championships within those as well. So when we get to things like the Elite 1 division that we've just seen, we have something that's called the Junior Trophy, and the Junior Trophy is for drivers 25 years or under at the beginning of the season that enter the Elite 1 championship. We also have the Challenger Trophy within Elite 1 as well, and that is for bronze and silver graded drivers, such as been established by the organisers that enter the Elite 1 Championship. And then when it comes to Elite 2, that we're going to see coming up very shortly, then there are 3 separate championships within that in reality. The Legend Trophy in Elite 2 is for bronze graded drivers who are 40 years and over at the beginning of the season. The rookie trophy is for drivers entered into the Elite 2 Championship in their first season of racing in this series, so it doesn't mean that they haven't got experience, and I'll come to some of that in a moment, but it does mean they are having their first year of racing in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. And also we've got the Lady Trophy, which started me down this route, which is for female drivers entered into the Elite 2 Championship. So they are sort of the championships within the championship. So for Elite 2 this year, it really has all been about the rookies in reality. We have got such a strong rookie entry in the Elite 2 Championship for 2019. Now remember, these are drivers having just their first season in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, and leading the championship coming into this weekend is the number 50 car. We've just seen it qualify on pole in the hands of the Elite 1 driver, Loris Hazemans. But the driver he shares the car with, Giorgio Maggi, is a rookie to this championship. Not a rookie in terms of motorsport, because we've seen Giorgio out in the likes of ADAC Masters, in GT racing generally, including the likes of European Le Mans Series and American Le Mans Series. And Blancpain is also dabbled with single-seaters as well, with Formula 4 in the past, and also the Formula Avalon, as it was called, which is a single-seater championship out in China as well. And in fact, it is 6 rookies inside the top 6 of the championship so far this year, with second in the championship being the car of Vittorio Carelli. Watch out for Vittorio. He drives the number 24 PK Car Sport car that we've just seen qualify in the hands of Nikola Rocco. Vittorio, a star of single-seaters, having worked his way through the likes of Formula Renault and Formula 3. He was the Auto GP champion back in 2013. We've seen him in GP3 and GP2 as well, so hugely experienced. He drives that number 24 car and is certainly going to be one to watch out for, having so far this year claimed just one win. That was last time out at Venray. He claimed his debut win in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. That was his 4th podium of the season so far. So the crowd are ready and waiting. The cars are making their way back down pit road now, safely in the hands of the Elite 2 drivers. There are, as ever, over the course of this weekend, some drivers doing both Elite 1 and Elite 2 as well. So the likes of the number 7 Hendricks Motorsport car is in the hands of Martin Dubeck, because he's one of the drivers that does both Elite 1 and Elite 2. And I'm just looking through the entry list. I think he might be the only one this weekend that is doing both Elite 1 and Elite 2, and a quick gaze through the entry list, yeah, confirms that. He's the only driver this weekend that's doing both divisions. Busy guy. Oh no, there is one more. I've just spotted him. He's making his debut, isn't he? And that is Ioannis Smarilis, the Greek driver, who is also at the wheel of the number 22 Marco Steep Motorsport DF1 Racing Ford Mustang for this session as well. So 2 drivers doing both Elite 1 and Elite 2. So other drivers new to the championship for this weekend. We mentioned Ioannis Smarilis, the Greek driver, making his debut weekend. Also a debut this weekend in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, driving the number 77 Memphis Racing Chevrolet Camaro. Another Scandinavian, it's another Finnish driver, the likes of Jana Koralainen, who, as with many of the Scandinavians, has previously cut his teeth at the wheel of the V8 Thunder cars. He's on board that number 77 car for this one, another convertee from single-seaters some years ago, where he used to race in a series called the HRF Van Diemen SR Sports Championship, which was for single-seater cars powered by Subaru engines. He raced in that, the best part of nearly 20 years ago now. And another driver that is new to the series this weekend is driving one of the racing engineering cars, not the number 48 that we see on our screen, but the number 88, and that is Hugo De Sadlia, from a hugely experienced motor racing family, really. Hugo's father having raced for a good number of years. His brother, Jerome De Sadlia, also will be, if you are a British motorsport fan, a name that may well be familiar, having won the Radical SR1 Cup and has been going well in the Radical UK Challenge. So he is another driver. And also that number 56 car is back in the hands of Marino Di Silvestre. Now, we did see him race at Franciacorta for Cal Racing, where he finished in best of 11th, but it's great to see the number 56 car back out in the hands of Marino Di Silvestre, former kart racer, having what I think is just his second weekend in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. So the cars all busy lined up in pit road. They are in, by the look of things, no particular order as they head out there. But the car that is second in the queue, number 50, is one of the cars to watch out for. Giorgio Maggi will be hoping for good things in this qualifying session. But the first car in the queue is the oldest driver that we've got in the field. It is 69-year-old Michael Bleakie Mullen, whose son Sebastian was driving the car in the Elite 1 division. Michael, who briefly had a career in Formula 1 back in the 1970s, 77 and 1978, raced for the Ram and the ATS teams, having worked his way through single-seaters, generally through Formula 2 and Formula 3. Latterly, we've seen him out in FIA GT, Porsche Carrera Cup, Renault Clio's, which is one of the support races here, which is why his son Sebastian is out racing in that as well. But Michael Bleakie Mullen is a driver that's, in terms of the Legend Trophy, which is for those aged 14 over in the Elite 2 division, he's been going really well in that so far this year, the Legend Trophy. And in fact, leads the Legend Trophy Championship standings and is 11th in the overall standings, Michael Bleakie Mullen. So, might be the oldest driver in the field, but he is more than up to sticking his elbows out and getting stuck in with some of his younger and maybe less experienced competitors. So number 15, Giorgio Maggi, trying to warm the tyres. 2 race wins so far this year for Giorgio Maggi. He's already had pole positions this season, Giorgio Maggi, and in fact it's the last 2 championship visits where he's had pole position at Moss and pole position at Venray for Giorgio Maggi. And across the whole of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, it is only the number 50 Hendricks Motorsport Ford that has claimed more than 1 single pole position, because Loris Hazelett has made 2 pole positions in Elite 1. Giorgio Maggi has already made it 2 pole positions in that car in Elite 2. Could he make it a 3rd pole position? The other pole sitters we've had, the American driver Myatt Snyder qualified on pole position at Valencia. Florian Venturi, who is not out this weekend, the young Frenchman, qualified on pole position at Franciacorta, and Andre Castro, another American, qualified on pole position at Brands Hatch when he was racing for PK Car Sport. He has now moved over to Marco Steep Motorsport, is on board the number 46 Chevrolet Camaro for Marco Steep again this weekend. So the cars heading around onto their outlap with, again, a good entry list this weekend. 26 cars. 26 cars in the Elite 2 division. And again, the same process as we've just seen for Elite 1. Top 12 go through into the Super Bowl session. And then from there, they will fight it out for pole. Goes number 64, that is Matthias Hauer. Nice to see Matthias back in the championship. Work commitments have kept him away. We've seen him racing previously in the Elite 1 division, which I was having a good chat to him yesterday. He finished 18th in Elite 1 last year, Matthias Hauer, and he did say that he found Elite 1 a little bit tough. He's going to be back next year. His work commitments will still be big, but he'll have a bit more time to come out, and he's going to concentrate on the Elite 2 division next year. It's good to have Matthias Hauer back with us for this weekend. So, one car with a bit of damage. That's a number 41 that's got damage to the tail end of it, which is Max Lancer. And it looks as though the red flags are coming out on circuit. Now, Max Lancer has a little bit of damage. Whether that is associated with the red flags that are now out there, wasn't that long into the session in reality. Nobody has really, as such, posted a time. In fact, we've only had, I think, 2 cars over the start-finish line to post times before the red flags come out. One of them is that car there, number 50, Giorgio Maggi, who popped in a 1 minute 33.747. Ah, right, there he is. There's the reason. Martin Dubeck off and into the gravel trap by the look of things, and can't quite pick out where that will be for Giorgio Maggi. I think, now that might be coming out of turn number 3, turn number 4, but he's a long way off the circuit. I suspect more likely turn number 12 potentially is where Martin Dubeck has gone off the circuit, but the hugely efficient Hockenheim officials already attaching the tow rope to the front of the stricken number 7 Hendricks Motorsport Ford. The Czech driver will get sort of a tow out of the gravel and then make his way in towards the pit lane, and we will wait and see as to whether that then precludes him from taking any further part in the qualifying session. The rest of the cars in the meantime all filing their way down the pit lane. So there's Martin Dubec's car out of the gravel. There'll still be lots of bits of gravel underneath it. Now there it is, front left puncture and damage to the front left. Right, okay, so I'm not trying to put 2 and 2 together here as such, but damage to the front left corner of the number 7 car, and I spotted a little bit of damage to the tail end of the number 41. So whether there's been a coming together or not, but the one thing that can be assured is that if Martin Dubec wants to take any further part in this qualifying session, the Hendricks Motorsport team have got a bit of work to do, because they've got to, without question, replace that front left tyre, which was a brand new one, remember, brand new tyre for one of only the 4 that are allocated to the drivers over the course of this weekend. They've also got to conduct repairs to the front left corner of that car, but looks as though, with it having been taken out of the gravel, the recovery truck is now there, and they're going to have to winch it onto the back of the recovery truck, because it's clearly not in a position to be able to be driven back into the pit lane area. So that is hugely disappointing for Martin Dubec, as say one of 2 drivers this weekend that's doing both Elite 1 and Elite 2, and there you can see, yeah, the bite that's been taken out of the front left corner of the Hendricks Ford. Most of that is sort of cosmetic fiberglass that we can see damaged, but it's what sits behind it and whether it's done any damage to either the wishbones, the springs, the dampers, which are new springs and dampers that were introduced at the beginning of this season, as well as the new tyre. So a lot of the drivers, certainly the early part of the season, the drivers and the teams were trying to find the right setup on the car with the new combination of the spring, the damper and the new tyre, and finding the sweet spot. Now that they are well into the season, with it being the semi-finals and the penultimate rounds, they're all there, but they're going to have to inspect what other damage might have been inflicted, other than the cosmetic and the obvious stuff that we can see on that Ford. And as we say, that also puts a bit of a dint in the hopes of Martin Dubec, who lies 16th in the championship standings coming into this weekend, and has had a bit of a tough time of it recently. In reality, he missed a couple of races. He had it off in the second of the 2 races at Franciacorta, actually damaged his knee, which as a result, he needed to have an operation, so he missed the whole of the Brands Hatch race meeting and came back to racing at Most in the Czech Republic for his home NASCAR Grand Prix. Still, I think, having had a conversation with him at Most, the advice of the doctors was rest up a little bit more, but he didn't want to miss his home NASCAR Grand Prix, so he came out at Most and went really well, but again, didn't quite have a look at his home NASCAR Grand Prix. He did grab a 6th in the first of the 2 races, but finished outside of the top 10 with a few issues in the second of the 2 races. His best result of the season came at the very first round at Valencia, where he was on the podium, finished in 3rd place overall in Elite 2, but that is his only podium finish of the season so far. The second of the 2 races at Valencia, he finished in 5th place, so 3 top 6 finishes for him so far this year. But it's been a tough old season for Martin Dubec, what with a mixture of fortunes, and as we say, that incident at Franciacorta where he damaged his knee and ultimately had to have an operation. So the car's queuing up in the pit lane. There's one car that's only just making its way back into the pit lane, actually, and that is the car of Michael Bleakie Mullen, who came back round, and whereas everybody else sort of dived for the pit lane, Michael Bleakie Mullen, I think, sort of just missed pit lane entry and had to do an extra full circuit. So only now does that number 69 car come to a halt in the pit lane. So he is now at the very back of the queue. He was at the very front of the queue, wasn't he, for the first part of qualifying? He'll be at the very back of the queue for this next part of qualifying. Now the clock stopped with what was 16 minutes and 40 seconds remaining on it, because new introduction and new changes for this year is that the Elite 2 division have a 20-minute qualifying session, 10 minutes longer than Elite 1. But as a consequence of that, they do get a slightly shorter race. I think it is off the top of my head, it is 16 laps for the Elite 2 division, it's 20 laps for the Elite 1 division, so they gain extra time in qualifying, but lose time in the race. Over the course of a weekend, though, the actual track time for Elite 1 and Elite 2 is almost identical, so it matters not which division, you get similar track time for everybody. So the car's heading back out onto circuit. There's the number 64 car of Matthias Hauer. Number 23 could be one to watch out for in this session. That is Ian Erik Varden, racing for Memphis Racing, the Swede, runner-up in V8 Thunder Cars and Camaro Cup Sweden last year. There is number 70, which is Mirko Schultes, another hugely experienced driver, has raced in many of the IMSA series over in America in the past. He owns Michu Motors, who run cars in this team. He's had a Le Mans Series Class Championship win in 2011. We've seen him racing in the likes of Daytona 24-hour World Endurance Championship as well. And this season, at the wheel of that number 70 Michu Motors car for the full season. He is lying third in the Legend Trophy standings coming into this weekend as well. Mirko Schultes, twice so far this year, has gained the extra 4 points available, which will be 8 of course this weekend because it's the semi-finals and double points. Twice so far this year he has gained the extra points for claiming the most improved positions in the race, from his starting position to his finishing position. So Mirko is a very experienced and very quick driver who will be not looking to grab overall wins. I'm sure he will admit that the quick rookies mean that is a very tough task to say the least, but he will want to try and grab a Legend Trophy win if he can for the drivers 40 and over and to the Elite 2 Championship. So qualifying back underway. The outlap will allow the temperatures to build in the tyres once more. There goes, we just saw briefly the Indian driver, Advait Dioda, at the wheel of the number 31 Cal Racing car over the start-finish line. Snatch break from Ian Erik Varden for the number 23 Memphis Racing car. That was the unloaded wheel as he worked his way up towards turn number 2, which is Bernie Eccleston curve. He's just coming around through turn 5 now, the long sweeping flat out left-hander at Parabolica, and it's heavily onto the brakes and in towards turn 6 and turn 7. You can see the nose of the car dip as diving his way onto the brakes goes the 54-year-old Finn, squeezes the accelerator, the tail end of the car just sliding around as he accelerated out of 7 and up towards the left-hander at turn number 8, then up towards turn number 9, turn number 10 and 11 come up very quickly as you build the speed down the drag strip now, and again you can see the correction for that white car in the background coming out of turn number 11. Up towards turn number 12 comes Ian Erik Varden, but up towards the completion of the lap is going to come number 50 Giorgio Maggi, who will be looking to see whether he might be able to grab a pole position. His first sector time is going to come up, I think, at the end of this lap, because he's still on his outlap, Giorgio Maggi, with the way the order has been shuffled as they all came into the pit lane. Switched his way through turn number 13, which is Sachs Curva, up towards then the flicks at 14 and 15, and then in towards the final couple of right-handers goes Giorgio Maggi, trying to build the speed, make sure that he looks after his tyres as well, and is now going to head on to what is going to be, I think, his first flying lap at the restart of this session. The drivers at the front of the queue, they're already having popped in their quick laps. Maggi topping the times at the moment, 1 minute 32.622 for Giorgio Maggi. We're not seeing sector times coming in for the Elite 2 division. We were for the Elite 1 division, but Giorgio Maggi topping the times. Advait Dioda for Cal Racing, number 31, the Indian driver, second at the moment, but already Giorgio Maggi, I think, has decided that he has done enough to see himself safely through into the Super Pole, so he gets off the throttle, allows the number 2 car of Jesse Vartian and another Finn that we've got in the field to squeeze his way through. Gather that the best lap time for number 69, Michael Bleakie Mullen, is being deleted. Now that's for not respecting the red flag. I did say I thought he'd missed pit lane entry and done the extra lap, but clearly that was spotted by the officials, so the number 69 car news we're receiving from Race Control will have its best lap time deleted for not respecting the red flag, and the number 41 car, which is Max Lancer, former motorcycle racer, his best 3 lap times are being deleted for a collision with number 7, and that was Martin Dubeck, who we saw off in the gravel, so that sort of sheds light on exactly what happened there and who has been deemed to be the culprit. Here comes number 2, Jesse Vartiainen, currently 2nd quickest, the Finnish driver, 4th in the Camaro Cup Finland standings last year, 2018, ex-V8 Thunder cars and Legends Trophy in Finland. It's great to see so many quick Scandinavians in the championship this year. Wouldn't it be great if we could have a Scandinavian round in the future? Vartiainen, does he improve? No, remains 2nd quickest though for Alex Caffey Racing. Number 88, heading around the circuit, which is shown on the graphic as being Eric Clement, but it's actually Hugo de Sadlier that's taken over that car. So Hugo de Sadlier at the wheel of the number 88 car, who is a driver to watch out for. Not scoring championship points as Hugo de Sadlier, but again another hugely experienced sports car racer. That is another Scandinavian. That's the very quick Dane, number 66, Lasse Sorensen for Dexwet DF1 Racing. Now Lasse is a bit of a star this year. He didn't do the first 2 championship races at Valencia, so potentially lost 80 championship points, but he comes into this weekend just 15 off the championship lead, does Lasse Sorensen, having won more races than anybody. 4 race wins so far this year for Lasse Sorensen, and one of them, Brands Hatch, from the very back of the grid to claim the victory, and a maximum of 44 championship points, because he got 40 for the win. He got the extra 4 points, unsurprisingly, for gaining the most places from his start position to his finish position. So he's going well. He is currently 4th quickest. Number 24, Vittorio Carelli. That's the car that was driven by Nikola Rocco in the Elite 1 qualifying session. One of 3 PK Car Sport cars out this weekend. Carelli going beautifully well. 2nd currently in the championship. 2nd in this qualifying session as well. Remember, the top 12 go through to qualifying. And in 12th position at his home NASCAR Grand Prix is number 99, Justin Kuntz at the moment. He will desperately want to try and ensure that he gets through into the Super Pole session. Others that are happy with their times already diving for the pit lane. Vittorio Carelli's sector times looking as though, well, the body language of the car suggesting that the Italian is still pressing on here. The time that sees him 2nd in his qualifying session, a 1:32.22, 1:32.221 to be absolutely precise, should see him through, and in fact, yeah, he does ultimately head down pit road to join the likes of Lasse Sorensen, who is already, I think, down the pit lane area, and many others who are also, I think, about to make the same decision as well. If you're inside, certainly the top half dozen, get down pit road. Justin Kuntz still continues over the start-finish line. Is he going to improve his time? No, he's still only 12th quickest, the German, at his home NASCAR Grand Prix. Number 31, Advait Deodar, just heading around the circuit. He is currently 6th position, the London-based Indian, lying 5th overall in the championship standings. A couple of podium finishes so far this year, but hasn't had a win. He's had a 2nd position, Advait Deodar, and would desperately like to try and get his weekend off to the best possible start. Maybe through turn 1, ran a little bit wide there, couldn't quite tell from the camera angle, but they were forewarned. Turn 1 and turn number 11, I think, were the ones that were picked out by the race director as being the corners that without question would be watched vigorously to ensure that there were no transgression of the track limits. And yeah, most of the drivers pushing the boundaries, and Advait Deodar at the wheel of his Chevrolet SS there for Cal Racing, the number 31 car that the hugely likeable Swiss-Italian Mario Trioni drives in Elite 1, was on the very edge there. Looks nice and neat and tidy though the rest of the lap. Squeezes the throttle out of turn 7, down the short straight towards turn number 8 before you're back on the brakes, in towards the left-hander. From a left-hander it turns right, and the next couple of corners, sort of 9, 10 and 11, all blend into each other there. Speeds begin to build. He's got clear track ahead of him, Advait Deodar. There's a big pack of cars just up the road from that, however. And as he now turns his way through, Advait Deodar, the sector times, no, not suggesting there's going to be an improvement from him. Looking as though he has got the best for the moment out of the Control General slick tyres, and may well ultimately opt to abort the lap and head in towards pit road. Is he going to do that? Yes, he is. Yeah, decides that he's done enough. He's safely through into Super Pole. There's still 6.5 minutes to go. But all right, rather animated there is Vittorio. Not quite sure why. Ben Creaner, the young Scotsman behind him, might have had something to do with that possibly, but yeah, you can see a rather animated, looked frustration almost, didn't it, from Vittorio there. Number 23 is still pushing on. That's Ian-Eric Varden, who is currently down in something like 18th, 19th position here, Ian-Eric Varden, which is a little lower down than I would expect him to be. There's number 70, which is Mirko Schultes, who is also outside of the top 15. So there's a bit of work to be done by both of those drivers, who are both eligible for the Legend Trophy, both of them aged above 40 years. Ian-Eric Varden, who joined me in the commentary box at Fenway, will be joined come the racing by a mixture of drivers over the course of this weekend. Look towards social media, and then will be announced later on as to who's joining me today for the Elite 1 race that takes place later on. That, of course, will be an Elite 2 driver that will join me for the Elite 1 race, and the Elite 1 drivers will join me for the Elite 2 races that take place both today and tomorrow. So 4 different drivers joining me in the commentary box here at Hockenheim over the course of the weekend. Most of the cars now, with 5 minutes to go, have probably done the best that they are going to do. Number 64, which is Matthias Hauer, is lying outside of the top 20 currently. That's the car that's driven in the Elite 1 division by Salvador Tinio Arroyo. Matthias Hauer, so returning to the championship this weekend. He's had business commitments throughout the course of the 2019 season, so hasn't been able to do that many rounds. Somebody just coming out of pit lane there. That was the number 56 Cal Racing car of Marino Di Silvestre, the 22-year-old Italian rookie. He's done chocolate car racing in the past. And there's number 27 as well, which is Pierluigi Veronese. Off the circuit goes Navetala, one of 2 Israeli drivers that we've got in the championship. His Solaris Motorsport Chevy off the circuit, Navetala. Youngster in the series, still a teenager, just 18 years of age. Navetala, one of the drivers, did the recruitment days over the course of the winter and signed up to do the season. Thoroughly enjoyed his first season in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. A double former Israeli karting champion is Navetala. But he just made a bit of a hash of turn number 6 and turn number 7. He's now going to have to forget about that. It's the best time that he's posted so far, 16th position for Navetala. The time of woman in 36.61. So still a bit more work to do from him, but it's not going to happen on this lap. And with 3.5 minutes to go, if he wants to get another flying lap in, he's going to have to get the car serviced rather quickly by Solaris Motorsport, who are right the way down the pit lane. They're next to Number 8, Nicholas Risitano, looking to see whether he can improve upon what is 9th position. He's on his out lap at the moment, Nicholas Risitano. I mentioned earlier on that Stinis Longines had recently become a father in the 10-week gap that we've had between Fenway and here at Hockenheim. Well, Nicholas Risitano has also become a father. He's only, I think, a week old, is it? He's the latest addition to the Risitano family. So congratulations to Nicholas, a driver who claimed his first NASCAR Whelen Euro Series win of his career at Valencia at round 2 of the championship, but that so far has been his only podium finish so far this year. He had a 4th last time out at Most in the first of the 2 races, a 6th in the second of the 2 races, but it must feel like a long time since he last stood on the podium on what would have been something like the 14th of April. Desperate to try and get back there as well. Nicholas Risitano, he's at least going to make it through into the Super Bowl session, which is what we need to do in this one, make it through to Super Bowl. Also making it through to Super Bowl should be that car there as well, number 33, Ben Creaner, who just 24 hours ago was in hospital actually. He is still at school. He was at school on Thursday, had to catch the flight from Edinburgh to get himself down here to Germany, and missed a chunk of the free practice yesterday because overnight he had a blood vessel burst in his nose. They couldn't stop the bleeding, so his father took him into hospital where they had to sort of have a look at it and cauterise it and stop the bleeding, and which meant that he was still feeling a bit sort of under the weather. He came out for free practice too, and now as the youngest driver in the field, is pushing on as hard as he possibly can. Ben Creaner at the wheel of that number 33 car. 16 years of age is Ben Creaner, that is all, and has done most of his previous car racing esports wise on simulators. He had his first race ever in a car on something like the 16th of February at Silverstone in the UK, where he finished in 3rd place. So he's got a very bright career ahead of him. Big lock brakes ahead of him by the look of things as they went down in towards turn number 6 and turn number 7. Here's 69, which is Michael Bleakie. All right, that's the reason for the lock brakes, right? I saw all of the smoke, didn't see the car, but yes, obvious now. Max Lancer has had an issue with the Club Motorsport car. Driver who we've seen out in the GT Italia Championship in the past. Former motorcycle racer briefly was Max Lancer, but now whether that's lock brakes or whether that's a problem, we saw the smoke as Ben Creaner was getting down into that area. Now Max Lancer sort of stopped the car, parked it up, and isn't going any further. And remember, this is the car that's going to lose its best 3 lap times. So where is it in the standings? It is 21st, so it is not going to upset. It's going through to Super Pole. Giorgio Maggi still quickest, as you can see on the graphic on your left of your screen, with just a matter of seconds to go now before the checkered flag comes out. Justin Coots still at the bottom of the top 12. So those look like potentially the 12 that are going to go through to Super Pole, unless anybody else can do anything further. Here comes number 69 through to number 30, which is Michael Bleakie Mullen, 20th currently in this qualifying session. Big snatch of the brake, heading up towards the conclusion of the lap as a 69-year-old tries to get the Ford Mustang anchored up, squeezes the throttle, accelerates his way over the start-finish line. Are we going to see a change? He comes through and cannot improve his time. The checkered flag is out, and well, there is another big lock brake. That's certainly a problem for Michael Bleakie Mullen there, because I think he'd already taken the checkered flag at the point we saw of that smoke coming from the front right-hand wheel. Yeah, puncture, that's the problem. So snatch the brake into one corner, and that tyre, that general tyre, has decided enough is enough. Excuse me. Yeah, so whether he's sort of hit a stone or a bit of debris out on track, and that's what's caused the issue, or maybe the snatching of the brake has created a flat spot and he's kept rotating the wheel round onto that. But yeah, puncture, thankfully for Michael Bleakie Mullen, at the very end of the qualifying session. So he's not going to make it through to Super Pole anyway, but he needs to drive that car as slowly as he can back round into the pit lane area, otherwise he's going to start to destroy the bodywork. You can already see just a little bit of bodywork the forward of that tyre already sort of ripping itself apart. But if the tyre starts to delaminate much more, then that is going to cause a big problem, and it might be best, Michael, maybe to park the car up out on circuit and get a recovery truck to bring you back. And for the moment he's still continuing round. So the top 12 cars then will go through into the Super Pole session, which includes the vast majority of those that are at the sharp end of the championship standings. We'll hopefully be able to confirm as to who's going through to Super Pole with a graphic very shortly. But Giorgio Maggi, the championship leader, the number 50 Hendricks Ford, will be safely through into Super Pole. The driver that is second in the championship, Vittorio Carelli, was second in that first part of qualifying as well, so he is safely through into Super Pole. Fantastic qualifying session for the Finnish driver, Jesse Vartiainen. He goes through to Super Pole, having qualified third quickest, and fourth, also through to Super Pole, is another driver right at the sharp end of the championship, third in the championship standings for Lasse Sorensen. He was fourth quickest in that qualifying session. Fifth, making his debut in the championship, and what an impression he's making as well for number 88, Hugo de Sadler, as Michael Bleakie Mullen still is limping his way back round into the pit lane. Sixth and through to Super Pole is number 31, Advite Dioda. Seventh and through to Super Pole is number 46, which is Andre Castro. Eighth is number 27, Pierluigi Veronese. Ninth was number 8, Nicholas Risitano, safely through to Super Pole, completing the top 10. Also through into Super Pole, number 33, Ben Creaner, well done. 11th is 48, Mayat Snyder, safely through to Super Pole, a driver who lies fourth in the championship standings. And the last driver through to Super Pole at his home NASCAR Grand Prix is number 99, which is Justin Kuntz, another driver safely through into the Super Pole session. So there is number 41 Max Lancer's car that's being dragged backwards away from the position at which it came to rest. I think they're going to leave that car out onto the circuit whilst we get this Super Pole session done and dusted, and then we could decide as to who is going to claim pole position. Now, last year, pole position was claimed by the driver that went on to win the Elite 2 Championship, which was the Frenchman Ulysse Delceau. Ulysse has stepped up to Elite 1, so it is going to be a new pole sitter either way here at Hockenheimring, because in 2017, for the first visit of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series, again it was Ulysse Delceau that was on pole position, so it will be a first time Hockenheim pole sitter. All of the former pole sitters from any of the German rounds are all now in Elite 1, because the first ever German NASCAR race was back in 2014 at the Nürburgring, and it was Thomas Ferrando who grabbed pole on that occasion as well. And Thomas now, of course, has been competing with great effect in Elite 1 for a few seasons, so it will be a first time German NASCAR Grand Prix pole sitter that we will have in this session. It will be a first time Hockenheimring pole sitter as well. Nicholas Ryutaro down there in the pit lane, just receiving a little bit of advice from the team as to what he might need to do to squeeze a bit more performance out of the number 8 Racers Motorsport Chevrolet Camaro. Nicholas, who was 7th in the championship last year, he claimed the rookie championship last year. Just goes to show how the championship moves on. 7th overall in the championship last year was enough to claim the rookie championship. This year, the top 6 in the championship are all rookies. So just goes to show how, just in 12 months' time, the championship, and in particular the rookie championship in Elite 2, has moved on. So we're about to get Super Pole underway. In the Elite 1 division, we saw a pole position for the number 50 Hendricks Motorsport Ford in the hands of Loris Hazeman's. Might we see that same car but in the hands of Giorgio Maggi head towards pole position in this session, or could it be the likes of Vittorio Carelli, maybe, who mounts a challenge for it? We, so far this year, remember, have had in Elite 2 4 different pole sitters. Giorgio Maggi with 2 pole positions, Myatt Snyder with 1, as has Florian Venturi, who's not out on the entry list this weekend, and also a pole position for Andre Castro. But Vittorio Carelli, 2nd in the championship, 2nd in that first part of qualifying, hasn't had a pole as yet this year. And neither, unbelievably, has that man there at the front of the queue, number 66, Lasse Sorensen, who, as I say, has made a real impression since coming into this championship. Remember, he's done 2 races less than everybody else, but of the, 7 races in which he's completed, he's won 4 of them. He's finished 2nd in another, 3rd in another, and the other finish that he did at Venray last time out was a 7th place. 7th is his worst finish of the season so far, and other than that 7th, every other race in which he's competed has been a podium, and 4 of them the top step of the 7 races that he's had so far this year. So he really has been a star. Could he grab his first pole position at the wheel of the number 66 Deck Sweat Racing Chevrolet? We will find out over the course of what is just 5 minutes. 20-minute qualifying done and dusted, 5 minutes to sort out Super Pole. Top 12 out there on circuit, and the important thing is get the quick lap in nice and early, bank a lap if you can, and then from there maybe push even harder on your second lap and see what you can do. By the time you get to the 3rd lap, the clock's running out, and there'll be seconds left. So those at the front of the queue might be able to squeeze out an extra lap compared to those at the back of the queue. A bit more tarmac out there, it's a bit more clean space to accelerate into. What are we going to see in this Super Pole session? Number 66, Lasse Sorensen, was first in the queue, turning his way through to number 13 now. This is the outlet, so just building the speeds, checking all of the temperatures are where they need to be, building not just temperatures in the tyres but in the brakes as well, making sure that your oil temperature, your water temperature are all in the sweet spot, and that the car is hooked up and is where you need it to be. There is the championship leading car, number 50 of Giorgio Maggi, the Swiss driver. Let's see what he might be able to do. Could he grab his 3rd pole position? We'll find out over the course of the next, now would you believe, 3 minutes and 20 seconds, because that is all that is left. So it takes them 1 minute and 40 to do the outlap, so you've got to keep pushing on. You see the nose of the Chevrolet Camaro dip there. as up towards the braking area for turns 3 and 4 go the cars that were first out. Nicholas Risitano, and then the number 50 car of Giorgio Maggi, I think, was a little bit compromised actually as they went in towards the braking area for turn 2 and turn 3 and 4 there. So Giorgio Maggi might just need to back things off a little bit at the wheel of that Hendricks Ford to make sure he's got a bit more daylight between himself and that number 8 car of Nicholas Risitano, because if he's bottled up behind it, it's potentially going to compromise his ability to set to the ideal lap. Risitano missing the apex curve there as well at turn number 8, which means that I think without question Giorgio Maggi has been held up here, and you can see that, yeah, Lassie Sorensen's number 66 car is building the daylight, so I think we need to worry about the lap time so much from the number 50 car of Giorgio Maggi, because the car ahead of him has compromised the lap. Towards the braking area for turn number 13, Risitano lets the car run out wide, allows Giorgio Maggi to go through. So this lap from Maggi, I don't think is going to be as quick as Lassie Sorensen's. It's the next lap for the number 50 Hendricks Ford that we need to look at, but he needs to nail it really, because as they head over the start-finish line, he's only going to have a lap time and a bit left. So the lap he's just started, and probably one more there, I would have thought, for Giorgio Maggi. Vittorio Carelli at the wheel of the number 24 car heads on to provisional pole position. Justin Kuntz, the number 99 deck sweat car at his home NASCAR Grand Prix, looking to see what he might be able to do. There'll be plenty of support for him over the course of this weekend. But it is Hugo De Sadlia, the number 88 car, that now goes on to pole position. The number 66, which is that of Lassie Sorensen, is fourth quickest currently. The Big Dane, this part of 6'4", is Lassie Sorensen. Snatches a break through turn number 6 just briefly. Through turn number 7, squeezes the throttle up towards turn number 8. We see the nose of the car dip again in towards the heavy braking area for the left-hander. Giorgio Maggi looking to try and improve now that he's been released from the grasp of Nicholas Risitano. He now needs to put in a quick lap, does the Swiss driver, as they then head down the short straight, drag strip area of the Hockenheimring. Flip their way into the very, very fast turn number 12. Here's number 48. Now that is Wyatt Snyder, the American who we've seen racing in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series, who started the season with fantastic form at Valencia, didn't quite have the luck, and then since then has, I don't think, quite been as strong. It sounds like being disrespectful, I'm not at all. Had a difficult Brands Hatch and a difficult Boston. Really bounced back at Venray on the oval last time out, where he finished in second place. His teammate in this one is the number 88 car, which is Hugo De Sadlia, who is currently second quickest now, because Giorgio Maggi has headed on to provisional pole position. That man was on pole, but now Hugo De Sadlia, what can he do on this lap? Just coming out of the final corner, the number 50 Hendricks Ford now sits on pole position and is going to be able to hang on to it, because Giorgio Maggi came over the start-finish line before the checkered flag, whereas Hugo De Sadlia, who was on pole, has just taken the checkered flag, which is now out. So Giorgio Maggi looking good for a pole position. Number 24, Vittorio Carelli, desperate to try and grab his first pole of the season, but he's now bottled up behind Nicholas Risitano as Maggi watches in the early stages of this super pole session. So I don't think this is going to do a great deal to improve the lap times for Vittorio Carelli on what is his final qualifying lap. Through turn number 8 up towards 9, 10 and 11, they all thread their way. Speeds build as they head onto the drag strip. Giorgio Maggi still on a good lap as well, the provisional pole sitter. Vittorio Carelli is probably going to have to settle for third on the grid. In reality, 4 cars have already taken the checkered flag. Hugo De Sadlia in second, taking the checkered flag. Adamo Yoda in 7th. Pierluigi Veronese in 8th and Wyatt Snyder in 9th have all taken the checkered flag, but Maggi is about to, the championship leader, head towards what potentially is going to be his 3rd pole position, and unbelievably his 3rd pole position on the trot. What a season it's turning out to be for the Swiss driver and the Hendricks Motorsport team as well. Giorgio Maggi grabs the checkered flag. There is going to be no improvement for Hugo De Sadlia, but there is an improvement on the final qualifying lap for Lassie Sorensen by the look of things, who was running in 4th place, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screens. But the last lap from number 66, Lassie Sorensen, I think is good enough now to put him up onto the front row of the grid by the look of things. So yeah, that number 66 car, as you can see, yeah, just confirmed by the graphic, Lasse Sorensen does join Giorgio Maggi on the front row of the grid, but in terms of the way that they will line up, it will be the number 50 car ahead of the 66 rather than as they are on the slowing down lap. So confirmation then on the screens on the left hand side of the way that they will line up the first 6 rows of the grid for our Elite 2 race that takes place later on this afternoon. Is that number 50 Giorgio Maggi takes pole position, his third consecutive pole position, his third pole position of the season, and alongside him on the front row of the grid will be number 66 Lasse Sorensen. Second row of the grid will be number 88 making his debut in the championship, Hugo De Sadler, hugely impressive, and for company on row number 2 it will be 24 Vittorio Carelli, who lies second in the championship standings. The third row of the grid will be 46, which is Andre Castro, alongside number 2 for Alex Caffi Motorsport. Great qualifying session for Jesse Vartianen. And row number 4 will be 31 Advait Teodar and number 8 Nicholas Ryutaro. The fifth row of the grid will be 27 Pierluigi Veronesi alongside 33 Ben Kriener. And the sixth row of the grid, the final 2 cars from that Super Pole session, number 48 Myatt Snyder, and at his home at NASCAR Grand Prix, 99 Justin Kuntz will qualify on the outside of that 6th row of the grid. So fantastic qualifying sessions and Super Pole sessions for both the Elite 1 and the Elite 2 division. And well, what a batch of qualifyings for the Hendricks Motorsport team, because their number 50 Ford, whether it be in the hands of Loris Hazens or in the hands of Giorgio Maggi, will sit on pole position for both of the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series races that we will see later on today here at the Hockenheimring.
Good morning and welcome to Autodromo.
In towards the pit lane area. We will be going live a little bit later on this afternoon with our first race, the Elite 1 division race. The stream goes live at around about 1 o'clock Central European summertime. If you're watching in the US, then go back to bed for a few hours and set your alarms for 7 a.m. Eastern summertime, which is when the Elite 1 race will get underway later on today here at the Hockenheimring in Germany. And the Elite 2 race will also be taking place later on today. That is 16:50 Central European summertime. We go live with the stream, or 10:50 a.m. Eastern summertime if you're watching in the US from the Hockenheimring. That's all for the moment. Join us later on for the Elite 1 and the Elite 2 races. Goodbye.
And welcome to Autodromo di Franciacorta.
Attached for round 6 of the 2000. Welcome to Circuit Zolder for the final round. The lights go out, the green flag flies. It's all very tight up towards turn 1. Oh, it's close and there's contact. They're side by side. When the checkered flag falls and the race is done, there's always time for celebrations.